Senator Jon Husted for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Ernst. I want to just reflect a little bit on some of the conversations I've had with Ohio businesses over the past few months, because they were grateful that they have a more stable environment to operate in this country since the passage of President Trump's budget reconciliation bill, which passed here and was signed into law on July the 4th, which included expanded pass-through income deductions, 100% immediate expensing of business investments, an R&D expense and deduction for domestic R&D costs so that we can invest through the private sector in advancing innovation, employer-provided child care credits and other employee benefits. And I know that in talking with them, like, what does this mean to you? What does it mean? It means more cash flow. It means more liquidity, lower compliance costs, greater incentives to hire people, and because they can provide additional benefits to their employees, and it encourages them to invest so they can compete with people around the globe. And I know that's hard for small businesses, but we've done a great deal, and we can do more to create a better business environment in this country. But I was reflecting on Ms. Wadowitz's testimony here. You said something that struck me. Indiana, Ohio, we have a lot of manufacturing in our respective states, and I know Chair Ernst touched on this as well, that we want to do Made in America. We say we want more manufacturing jobs in this country. We know that all states are not made the same. Some have a high amount of manufacturing in their respective states as a part of their economy. And you said one of your recommendations, I want to give you a chance to just explain why you believe this is so important, because I agree with you that Congress should expand access to the 504 loan program to enable manufacturers to retain more capital by reducing the borrowing equity injection from 10% to 5%. It's almost a penalty to be a manufacturer, even though those sites are coveted in states like ours, where people want to have access to those facilities. And just talk about how you think that this will help boost manufacturing in your state and the country.
Certainly, Senator. Thank you for the question. And manufacturing is critically important to our country in every state. And those states like ours that are heavy manufacturing focused states, it's even more important. In the manufacturing sector, again, buildings and equipment are extremely expensive. And often those companies have working capital needs that are extreme as well. So by limiting their down payment from 10% to 5%, they'll be able certainly to have more working capital. But let me take one other step on there, because many of these manufacturing sites have rail access, which is critical to them to be able, for them to be able to deliver goods. If a rail site is on that property, it is currently classified as a special purpose property, and they have to put another 5% down as equity. So instead of in a typical manufacturing project being 50% bank, 40% CDC, 10% equity, if there's a railroad spur on that property, the borrower has to put down 15% and only get 35% of the very attractive SBA 504 financing with a long-term fixed rate. So we're looking for all companies that are special purpose, and there are many, to not have to have that 5% penalty, and specifically for manufacturers to be able to reduce their equity contribution from 10% to 5%.
And if you talk to a manufacturer, they need to compete, because we have higher wage rates in our country. So to compete, they have to have the capital to buy the new machinery and equipment that they can to up their productivity gains so that they can actually compete. This is an important part of them having the capital to do that in the big scheme of things.
Extremely important. So they not only have to invest in that capital and utilize, and having a 10% down payment pulls some of the working capital out of that business.
I see Mr. Swanson smiling and shaking his head. I think he wants to say something here.
Certainly.
Would you like to add?
Oh, Senator, I was just nodding in agreement. There's only one pool of capital we have available as a company. We have to elect where to deploy that, whether it's on equipment purchases and modernization or hiring more staff, et cetera. So my colleague's point is exactly on target with that, so.
Great. Thank you.